Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander. I am, as always, honored, excited, and incredibly geeked to get to host another fabulous Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. Today, we're going to be talking about innovating with customers, driving more equitable decisions with GIS. Now, before we dive into our topic at hand today, we're going to go over some quick housekeeping. This will be especially important if today is your first event with Power to Fly. And if that's the case, then hi, welcome. We're so happy to meet you today. Now, the love is no less real for my frequent flyers. I'm so grateful to y'all for joining us in the chat. I love seeing your familiar names and avatars and faces showing up. So thank you so much for joining us. Now, the biggest thing to know about Power to Fly events is participation. You all are encouraged to participate in this event in a number of different ways, however you would like to do so. So a couple different options. You're always welcome to turn your cameras on if you'd like. I love seeing our smiling, maskless faces safely, but there is no need to be Instagram perfect, y'all. Just because I got real fancy and did dry shampoo and a brush today does not mean that you can't show up with your messy buns, your bathrobes. We don't care, all right? We just want to meet you where you are so that you can learn with us today. Now, if you don't want to participate with your camera, that's fine. It is not a requirement. You can always chime in the chat if you want to participate that way, and I'll give you a little bit of detail on that in a second. Now, we are recording today's event, and what that means for you is you don't have to take notes. You get to relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Ed and Maya and Raina. And you don't have to worry if you miss a resource that someone lists or a blog post or anything. You don't have to worry about that. Now, what's going to happen is everybody that registered for today's event, whether you showed up or not, no hurt feelings, even if you only stay for a couple of minutes, everybody is going to get an email from Power to Fly in about 4 to 5 business days where you can rewatch this recording from today when we post it on our website. Now, our website is awesome. It's where all of our resources live. It's a massive archive that is completely free for all of you to use, and we very much encourage you to do so. We want you to share those resources with as many people as possible. But let's say you don't want to wait 45 minutes or 4 to 5 days, my bad. Let's say that, Ed or Maya or Raina says something today that is just mind-blowing, paradigm shifting, and you can't wait 4 to 5 business days to tell a coworker or a friend or a relative. You don't have to. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. Hi, YouTube. We're streaming there right now. And our videos are usually posted by the end of business today. Now, there is a small section of some of our greatest hits, some of my favorite chat and learns on our YouTube page, but truly, y'all, all of the resources, like the mother load is on that website. It's on powertofly.com. So I very much recommend that you check us out, on any one of those areas. Now, I do really want to encourage y'all to ask questions. Our audience members won't be able to come off mute today, but you will be able to get loud in that chat. So I do see Ria is throwing up some prompts in there. I would love to second that. Let us know in the group chat where you're calling in from today. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belonged to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. So if you know whose land you're on or where you're located, at least, please feel free to share it. Now, as we go through, if you have questions, please feel free to send them in the chat. If you have any questions that you would like me to raise, but you want to be kept anonymous, no worries. Just DM me, Meg Alexander. You can find my name in the drop-down in your Zoom group chat. Now, as we go through and you are networking with your fellow attendees or interacting with speakers, just as always, I refer you to our code of conduct. It's a big wall of text. It looks like a lot of scary legalese, but I wrote it. So basically what it boils down to is don't be a jerk, okay? Just operate from a place of kindness and respect, and it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. Yeah, if you have questions, you want details on this, just DM me in the chat. I'm happy to help you out. All right, now, Esri is our company of the hour today. Esri is a really amazing company. I'm going to let their speakers speak directly to what they do because I'm just going to make word salad of it if I do. But Esri has been a fabulous partner of ours. I've gotten to work with them for, I think, at least 4 of the 5.5 years that I've been with Power to Fly. So really enjoyable, and I can't wait to introduce you to the speakers they sent us. But if anything that we say today sparks interest for you in Esri, I very much recommend that you check out their company page on powertofly.com. Ria's sharing links for all of this in the chat thread as we go. Thank you so much, Ria, doing the Lord's work. But I really recommend that you check out their company page. There's some great resources on there. And if you're interested in potentially an interview or a position with Esri, stick around till the end of the event and I'll let you know some of the ways that you can maximize this page to make your job search a little bit easier. All right. Now, up first, we have Ed Karubas joining us. Ed is Government Services Director for Esri. Ed, you might recognize, he's done a couple events with Power to Fly. And he has 35 years of proven success leveraging GIS to optimize the provision of equitable constituent services and in addressing challenges at scale, ranging from our nation's response to the 9/11 and anthrax attacks, the Nepal earthquake, polio eradication in Nigeria, the West African Ebola response, and the coronavirus pandemic. Now, prior to joining Esri, Ed was the Chief Information Officer and Associate Commissioner for Technology at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. He's committed to leading efforts to improve the connection between constituents through the science of where. Ed, I'm so happy to welcome you to the stage today. Is there anything else you want our audience members to know about you?
No, thank you. I'm excited to be here and I'm ready to share.
Great. Thanks, Ed. All right. Up next, we're going to talk to Raina Logan. Raina is a senior technical consultant at Esri, and she also leads the geo-equity community in the professional services, which is a groundbreaking initiative that integrates equity into professional consulting practices and empowers clients to incorporate an equity lens into their projects and programs, which drives lasting positive impact in communities worldwide. Raina, I'm so excited for you to join us on stage today. Welcome. What would you like our audience members to know about you?
First of all, I'm very excited. Thank you for having us here. And I think the second thing is I'm always a student. So as much as we are part of the panel, I always like to hear back from our folks who are joining us on the call here today.
Thank you, Raina. And rounding out our fabulous trio, we have Maya Nolan. Now, Maya is Esri's commercial consulting manager. She has an extensive background in cross-functional technology projects for commercial companies as well as ed tech organizations. Her work has involved designing and managing the implementation of transformative technology solutions. She's driven by her passion for people, as well as an interest in organizational sustainability and building new digital capabilities. Maya, I'm very happy to have you join our panel this morning. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know about you before we dive into questions?
I don't think so. I appreciate the warm welcome and just excited to be part of this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ooh, and y'all, scrolling back up in the chat here, we've got people tiling in from, let's see, we've got Athens, we've got the UK, we've got Wisconsin, we've got New Jersey, Arizona, Ontario, Canada. I love this, y'all. Awesome. Thank you so much for chiming in. All right. We're going to go into, hold on. There we go, wrong screen. We're gonna go into questions. Now, we went through questions that y'all asked at the time of registration. So if anything that we're going over is something that you want to dive in deeper on, please feel free to let us know. I've got the group chat up in front of me, and would love to make sure that the time that you spend today with Power to Fly and Esri is worth it. So if you have questions and you want to get them answered, make sure that you ask early, ask often. I will be in the chat checking that stuff out as well. Okay, so my first question here, scroll back to the top of my doc. I want to go to Ed first. Can you tell me what strategies Esri employs to ensure that customers' needs remain at the forefront of your innovation?
That's a great question. You know, we have a real advantage, right? And it begins because we're a privately held software company, and you don't see a lot of privately held software companies. And because of that, our shareholders are our customers, right? And so we're totally focused on engaging with our customers to drive our product direction, right? It also, being privately held, allows us to allocate over 30% of our revenue each year into R&D, driving innovation. And so both this focus on customers and this commitment of investment that we're able to do because we're privately held really gives us a special advantage, right? That allows us to be at the forefront of innovation. We also have a special relationship with our customers where we have something that we offer advisory services. We call that the Advantage Program. And as part of that program, and we've been doing this for 20 years, a dedicated advisor works with each customer to understand their business needs, develop a plan. And as part of that, it also presents opportunities to connect our latest technology direction with the actual needs of customers to kind of move that forward.
Ooh, I love that your response is so layered because it kind of shows that like it's not really that difficult to have these things be part of your processes as long as you make them important internally. So I think that that is a really, really good look and kind of highlights that having something as your mission doesn't mean that it's always at the forefront, right? You have to kind of keep reminding yourself and make sure that you're still ticking those boxes and giving the service that you want. So I think that's wonderful. Thank you, Ed.
Spot on. Yeah.
All right, my next question is going to go to Raina first. So Raina, let me bring you up on stage here. Would you tell us a little bit about how Esri's technology helps organizations to make fair and informed decisions that would benefit diverse communities?
Yeah, sure. And it's kind of part of what I love the most is our technology, right? So our technology really helps a lot of organizations to make some informed data-driven decisions. And we do that by having a vast suite of tools to help in data visualization. You know, we always talk about a picture is worth worth 1,000 words. So our tools really help in enhancing that data visualization aspect. We also have spatial analytic tools as well as tools that can help in predictive modeling, right? So we have our GIS product suite and other tools, as well as other platforms that we have actually developed to really help organizations map and analyze very critical social and environmental impact data, right, to identify disparities in underserved areas within diverse communities. One thing about our tech that I also love the most in helping organizations to make informed decisions is that we do have tools that support disaggregation of data by factors like race, income, and geography. And this really helps decision makers to be able to pinpoint inequities and prioritize interventions, right? I think it's very important to not only tell the equity story, but enhance the equity story with the data. And so Esri really does enable organizations to create equitable and inclusive or make equitable and inclusive decisions that are impactful to the community, right? Especially those that have been historically underserved, making sure that there's a priority in receiving resources or any type of support. And so that's kind of a part of what Esri does in helping to enable organizations to make decisions that can benefit diverse communities.
That's really interesting that disaggregation of the data is really like such a crucial part, because I feel like so much of what you hear about data is, well, we have to aggregate, we have to get everything on the same page, we have to bring in all the things. And I think you're right. You know, it's absolutely possible to kind of lose the forest for the trees if you're not parsing through the data to see what the numbers actually say, not just kind of what it looks like as, you know, a big picture. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Ooh, okay, Raina, my next question is going to go to you as well. Let's see here. Okay, I know y'all have case studies that you're very fond of. Could you discuss a case study where GIS technology was used to address equity issues in a specific community?
Okay, so I love this question. The reason why I love this question is because I love the customers that I'm working with right now on equity. And so Esri is actually working with the LA Metro Office of Equity and Race, right? So LA Metro is a transit agency, and I think they're very progressive in enhancing and centering as well as fostering equity within their organization. And so their Office of Equity and Race is using GIS technology to really address the systemic inequities, ensuring that the transportation services that they provide really benefit communities that have historically been underserved. So this Office of Equity and Race, one thing that they did, they pretty much built up this map. And this map is, they call this map an equity-focused community map. What this map has, right, it identifies the areas of high concentrations of low-income households, BIPOC, right, the Black, Indigenous, and people of color populations, as well as households with limited access to vehicles, right? So this is a transit agency. Those are like the three main factors that they really hone in on when they come to prioritizing interventions, programs, or policies, right? So they came up with this map. And they serve this map across different departments within the transit agency. And what that map does, it really helps in informing LA Metro's decisions on resource allocation. It helps the agency to prioritize investments in public transit infrastructure, as well as services, especially where they're most needed. And it has also helped in aiding decisions as to where bus routes needs to be expanded, as well as improving train accessibility, especially for neighborhoods that have continuously been underserved. I love LA Metro's Office of Equity and Race because not only did they come up with this map, but they developed this index. They call it the Metro Equity Need Index. And what that does, it really monitors and tracks where mobility barriers exist across LA County. So they came up with these indices that helps to ensure that their new projects and bus rapid transit lines align with the needs of the vulnerable communities. They're very focused and very intentional in involving their community. And that's one thing that I really love about LA Metro. They have community-based organizations that they partner with, and their feedback, the community's feedback, is directly infused into any policies or any decisions that need to be made in terms of budget or in terms of where the priority needs to be. So I always talked about LA Metro because they're number one, my favorite customer, but how they're doing and centering equity, I think is an example that a lot of agencies or organizations can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a layered issue that you would have to kind of approach it from a very, very global, very like multi-dimensional aspect, right? You can't just look at things like, okay, well, where do people use the buses most? You have to think of things like, okay, well, people use the bus because generally they don't have multiple modes of transportation. So if that's the case, then something like a park and ride, which seems like a good idea, isn't really a good idea if it's not accessible to get to the place where you need to park, right? Mm-hmm. So I love this. And I really appreciate the specific examples too, because like Toledo doesn't have a metro system at all. It's like we have TARTA, maybe sort of, but it's not there. So I think it's really cool to see how this works in other places, because it kind of gives me ideas about like, oh yeah, like we don't have any bus systems that service the mall. Mm-hmm. Why is that when most of the people that work at the mall take the bus to get there? So why is that? Like I like this. You've got me thinking about stuff in my own community.
It's awesome. And they continue doing this work, and their community-based organization partnering strategy is amazing, because sometimes there tends to be this disconnect with the community, right? But they have strategically thought about developing like a CBO database where the community-based organizations, they can provide feedback directly, and then they get that, like the strategy that they've come up with is profound. And it's something that I always talk about whenever I get the chance to.
All right, I love that. Okay, so we talked about a situation where the GIS tech was used to address equity. Let's talk about a time that it made a significant positive impact on a community when it wasn't equity-based. Could you tell us about something like that?
Yeah, when you say that, I think about the city of Austin, right? So the background behind that, the city of Austin actually partnered with us to support they called it the Austinites. I may be mispronouncing that, but they had this Austinites Against Hate initiative. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to develop tools that were aimed at empowering residents to report hate crimes, right? And in that vein, be able to create a very inclusive community. And so this initiative, it was branded under We All Belong. That was the whole campaign. And what it did, it kind of literally leveraged GIS or Esri's GIS technology to streamline, number one, access to reporting tools, and also provided some valuable insights through some interactive data experiences. When we talk about like that significant positive impact, one thing that I do know is that the goal was not only to raise awareness of the hate crimes, but to also foster that sense of community responsibility, right? So they developed this ArcGIS hub site, right? So this platform where there's a lot of community engagement, and community members could directly report hate crimes or incidents that are that would directly be pushed over to the Austin Police Department, right? And so that platform also collected the data, visualized the data on the hate-related incidents. And in that, we developed this dashboard where you could see how various districts were doing in terms of the hate crimes that had been reported. So this really helped the residents and also the policymakers to understand what the pattern was when it came to hate crimes across the neighborhoods. And that helped them to, take the necessary steps or like the informed action. And so ultimately this campaign, it had a significant impact because what it did, it created avenues for timely reporting, number one. There was that aspect of community collaboration, and also making sure that those hate incidents were addressed proactively. So that's one thing that I think about when it comes to a significant impact on the community, excuse me.
I like that. And that's a really interesting way to utilize the tech, because it's not that people don't want to report these things, but a lot of times people just don't want to involve the cops. They don't want to involve them right away. There's a ton of situations I've been in where I'm like, this isn't great, but I am by no means calling people with guns to the scene. So no, but I love this because it makes it more of a community engagement thing. It puts that control in the hands of the community. They feel more of a sense of that belonging and ownership over the safety of their own neighborhood. I love that. I think that's really great. Maya, can I call you in on this? Is there anything that comes to mind when you're thinking in terms of like a positive impact on the community based on the use of GIS tech?
Yeah, absolutely. I work more in the private sector space, so a lot of these manufacturing, retail, real estate organizations. So I love this story. It's more on a global scale. So I love Raina's because it's like community impact. We've been working on a global scale more with Nespresso. So all you coffee drinkers out there, I don't know what your opinions are, but hold those. So if you're not familiar, Nespresso is known for its high quality single serving coffee. And they have a community impact program called Positive Cup. Positive Cup is really a partnership between Nespresso and the Rainforest Alliance. And coffee, as I understand, is a very delicate crop that depends on a healthy ecosystem. So this program is really working in alliance with the farmers that are farming coffee. And these same farmers take the coffee crop to the mills. And so that's really kind of the use case here. And with some of the changes that we've seen around climate and even social risks in some of these countries, Nespresso is using GIS to understand the climate and geography around over 10,000 coffee farms and the impact of these farms and their farming practices in the surrounding communities and environments. So a couple of things that they're doing through this program, they're trying to understand through geography the farmer's travel time between the farm to the coffee mill, and ensuring that the mills, even if it means moving the mills, are at a convenient location to farmers. So they're not traveling days and impacting the transport of that coffee crop. Also makes it more manageable for the farmers who are having to deliver to the mills. Another thing through this program is GIS has helped the agronomists who really work with the farmers in these areas to educate and train them on sustainable farming practices. So that's all going to be positive impact, obviously helping the farmers in their education, but also increasing the biodiversity in those areas and hopefully not making negative or encroaching impacts into the environments and the biodiversity in their areas. So I love this example. It's a global scale, but also at a micro community farm scale. And I really think that it's a mutual benefit to the coffee market. So getting coffee to market faster if the mills are closer and there's less disruptions, but it's also helping sustainable farming. It's helping biodiversity. So a lot of positive benefit to many parts of sort of the the value chain from farm to the manufacturing to the retailer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense too, because when you think about it, granted, you know, we're in another country, so we're not necessarily like being run on capitalism a la America, but when you think about how businesses grow generally in terms of capitalistic benefits, it's not always done like, you know, like you said, these things, you know, mills are created because of a need in one area, but if the whole landscape changes, then it needs to be different to, you know, be able to, like you said, respect not just the land that is being used to grow this, but also the people that are involved in the growth, in the process, in the sale. Like, I think this is awesome. Yeah, it really does highlight how it's beneficial not just to the planet, but also like to the businesses that these people are trying to run so that they can survive in their, you know, in their chosen locale. So I think that's wonderful. Very cool. All right, Raina, I am bringing you back up on stage here. And I promise we'll talk you to in a little bit. I've got more questions for you as well. But Raina, can you tell us about some of the Esri partner collaborations? I know that y'all do a ton in LA County, but I know there's also been a lot of very meaningful transformations that y'all have been a part of there. Would you care to share one with us?
Yeah, I always start this by, you know, it's been 4 years now, but we all kind of have an understanding of what happened in 2020, right? I'm not gonna bring that up again, but what I wanted to highlight for you all was the fact that in 2020, right, the Board of Supervisors at the County of LA, they adopted this motion that created their boards kind of they had this initiative or this priority that was known as anti-racism, diversity and inclusion. So we refer to it as RD, right? The RD initiative. And that board's motion boldly articulated that RD needed to create some anti-racism policy agendas to not only guide, govern, but also to increase the county's ongoing commitment to fighting racism in all of its dimensions across LA County, right? So the leaders within LA County, they were really prompted and they were especially motivated to adopt some very innovative strategies, right? As well as approaches to help in ending the systemic and the normalized racism at LA County. So what did they do? They incorporated or involved some researchers. They called for a study to help them and their leadership to be able to understand conditions that negatively affect the health and well-being, specifically of Black residents in LA County, right? This is actually all over the internet. They actually came up with a report called The State of Black in LA County. And in this initiative or in this study, there are some maps and data science, right, that really laid bare this unequal reality, right? And so researchers as well as GIS analysts, they used maps and dashboards to focus attention on the issues and the areas where Black residents are impacted the most. And so with this, right, the county officials, they use GIS to monitor the progress toward the goals outlined in this new anti-racism, diversity and inclusion initiative, but they also use GIS to visualize, right, areas that need to have a special emphasis or focused intention in terms of resource allocation. That's one that I think about. But I also want to add in this exciting partnership that we have with NAACP, right? That's another example that comes to mind when we talk about community transformations. We all know NAACP. We know that, you know, they are very central to civil work. And what's exciting about this really is more so that NAACP modernized or is modernizing how they're doing their civil rights work. And they're doing this with a huge emphasis on digital tech as well as data science. So NAACP right now is actually using and incorporating smart maps as well as some advanced analytics from, you know, GIS, and NAACP is actually, you know, repositioning itself as a monitor of inequality in a very increasingly complex world where strategies of creating privilege and conversely, you know, inequality are evolving. So they're strategically ensuring that they're using location analytics, location science, as well as, you know, the science of where, like Ed stands on, right? They're using this, and they're using this geographic approach in their civil rights movement workflows. And they're using data-driven maps as well as other artifacts to help leaders identify and prioritize the places that are most harmed, or communities that are the Black communities where they are the most harmed. So I always think about NAACP as well because of the monumental work that they're doing and how they're modernizing what they're doing when it comes to using location analytics, or the science of where.
That is amazing. And as you were talking, I just kept thinking to myself, all of the layers upon layers of intersectionalities that then not just complicate the data, but make it much more interesting and much more informative if you're capturing all of that. And so I'm having that moment where the meme of the woman just like staring at all of the Rain Man like math around her head. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, as I'm thinking like, how much information could you gather? And it's sort of limitless.
Yes.
And with the technology to process the data and actually go like read what you're gathering, that's amazing, and really, really opens up some crazy possibilities. And you're right, man. NAACP needs all the help they can get, because talk about people doing the Lord's work. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Thank you, Raina. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, I'm coming back to you. So let me bring you up on stage here. All right, Ed, can you tell us about a challenge that you faced implementing customer-driven changes? One of the things that we talked about a lot with Raina as well as Maya is what customers had wanted to do and what they had needed. So y'all, kind of figure out a way to make the product work for them. Could you share one of those challenges and how you overcame it with us?
Yeah, sure. And first, is everyone inspired? I'm so inspired by hearing these case studies, these examples. It's for me, it's so exciting when I'm at a backyard barbecue on the weekend and people say, "Hey, what is Esri? And tell me about your technology. What does it do?" And I can share examples like this and other examples. Our technology supports, keeping our nation safe and secure. We respond to disasters and helping understand where the need is. Our technology is used to figure out where corn is going to be grown 50 years from now with climate change. I've got all these examples. We could just keep going on and on, right? And the thing is, our technology is developed at a foundational level. It's not specific to any one of these sectors or any one of these kind of business needs or workflows. We build our technology at a foundational level, and that allows full access to spatial science, right? To the geographic approach to solve any problem, right? Whatever it is, to all of the world's most pressing problems and the individual kind of challenges that a business has to run a business every day. And so, I mentioned earlier how we rely on our customers, that direct feedback from our customers. Sometimes the challenges arise when a particular customer who is, because they're working on such important problems, are faced with, hey, we really see a gap in the technology. We really need to address that. And how do we go about doing that when we have this foundational technology that supports hundreds of thousands of organizations? And so we have a process for that, right? We work, because our customers are at the center. We work on how can we prioritize changes in our technology that can't wait until the next standard release cycle. We work through our professional services organization to help identify workarounds, right? How can we solve those problems, right? How can we address the critical need while we're accelerating our changes in our products, right? To be able to satisfy that on a more long-term basis. And in doing that, everyone benefits, right? Like that's the thing that's really one of the things that's so special about our technology and our community is that everyone is kind of leveling up each other, right? And everyone is benefiting from as they're exploring new uses of our technology. It's not just benefiting their single organization, it's benefiting the entire GIS community as a whole.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got people chiming in the chat. Maria was saying adding maps to a social narrative opens the possibility to tell a story that is impactful. I've utilized ARC GIS mapping software to keep schools open. There's another person, Mercy, is commenting saying very interesting use cases. I have used GIS in the past in RF propagation tools for cell site design and optimization. I'm curious to know if Esri is incorporating AI for any of these use cases. Obviously, this is a massive topic to open up, but could you give us even like a couple sentences on how AI is being worked into or being utilized by your teams?
Yeah, I mean, I can get started, but I would encourage, Maya and Raina, please kind of jump in, right? Like, I'll give you an example that's so powerful that's happening right now, right? So we all are very much in the news, concerned and tracking on what's happening in the response and recovery effort for the recent hurricanes in Florida, right? And FEMA uses our technology, uses something which we call Geo AI, right? Where they receive the latest imagery, and that imagery is from satellites, and that imagery is from drones and all of the different kind of sources. And they use that imagery to identify impacted communities, locations, individual properties and homes before communities are even safe to have damage assessment crews and field crews kind of go out there. And that accelerates the whole process of providing financial assistance. I mean, it's just very powerful. That's just one example of Geo AI. I don't know, Maya or Raina, if you want to add any additional thoughts here as well.
Yeah, I love this because I'm actually a student and I'm learning so much about artificial intelligence, and my niche is GeoAI, right? It's a game changer when it comes to driving community change, right? If you're combining, or when you combine AI with location data, the possibilities are endless, right? When you're training models to understand how to uncover patterns and insights that help tackle important issues like equity or maybe urban planning and environmental justice. We're literally, Esri's actually, we have a whole team that's looking into all these processes and workflows. One thing that I do know, one potential that I do know we have been working on, or we can highlight, is we have these, and I'm gonna get a little bit technical, we have these pro models that really can help you in number one, understanding underserved areas, right? This is like it's a tool that a model that has been trained to be able to uncover some of these patterns. But the one thing that I do really enjoy about using it, it might not be it's not AI fused. It's just one way that we are wanting to evolve processes within our product suite to be able to efficiently highlight underserved areas and help in the allocation of resources more effectively. I think there's so much potential there, and I know, and that's something that's actually exciting me for the future, is developing what we call these AI assistive paradigms, where we're using these AI models to be able to identify these patterns, right? And this ultimately will transform how cities plan for the future, right? We're using predictive models and then infusing that with AI. The possibilities of that would be endless, because we would be using these models not only to address climate change, right? We can, just like Ed said, we are using them in disaster response, and even understanding population growth. And I think what's most exciting for me is that it can actually help in empowering communities themselves, right? We talk about participatory mapping. People can share their own data. There's a lot of caveats with that, but there's this ability to be able to visualize local issues. Let's say, for instance, housing inequality or population, right? And you can advocate for change. And I think GeoAI can make us be more smarter and can help communities in bringing their voice to the table. And in that can really help in driving more equitable decisions that lead to stronger and more resilient communities. That's just from my point of view as a student within GeoAI and also as part of the Esri family. I don't know if Maya had anything else to contribute, but that's kind of how I've envisioned and what I've seen, what I'm seeing in the space in terms of artificial intelligence, specifically GeoAI.
I'll slightly follow it up. I mean, it is a little intimidating to follow up a PhD researcher who's doing their research on this.
I'm sorry, you don't get to say I'm a student without saying I'm a PhD student.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, don't get me wrong. Any continuing education is excellent. Learn whatever you want to learn at the pace you want to learn, where you want to learn it. But damn, we're not going to let you call yourself a student. You're a doctoral candidate. Come on, woman. All right. Maya, thank you. Coming in hot. Love
Yeah,
it.
coming in. Yeah, I just had to realize that. But I would say in the private sector, there's definitely going to be a shift. I mean, we're hearing about AI, GeoAI, and it's, in the private sector, it's all about efficiency and predictive and forecasting. And so, being able to use these tools, some of which Raina has talked about, and embedding those in geographic business functions will be, I think, very much normalized over the next couple of years.
Yeah, of course. I mean, effectively, please correct me if I'm wrong and my understanding is flawed, but effectively what you're talking about is in long range forecasting. It's not like, Miss Cleo, it's going to happen this way. It's more like, okay, based on these models, it could happen this way. Could also maybe turn out in this direction. And it could also maybe go like wildly in that way. And so it enables you to have at least a little bit further vision out to maybe plan for potential scenarios, right?
Got it.
Okay, cool. If you were absolutely predicting the future, then I was going to be just flabbergasted, like nobody's business. But it never hurts to check, just to level set, make sure we're all on the same page. Right? Okay, Maya, I actually want to go to you for our next question. Can you tell me about how Esri balances the needs of diverse user groups when it's developing new features for products, especially because y'all are serving, so many amazing and disparate and needy areas and communities? How do you decide what happens first?
Yeah, I think you set me up well in opening that question, because we are really serving so many different types of users, from scientists to foresters to data analysts to emergency response workers. I can go on. The plethora of different roles that we serve is foundational to our software. The software is intended to help the people do the jobs that they need to do. So I think really tapping into our user base is critical, and it provides diverse perspective, not in just the different job functions people do, but even where they're located, globally, regionally, what type of organizations they service. And so that's imperative that we're connected with our users. We do a lot of reach out in terms of events, but I think we also are set up and structured in a way organizationally where those of us that are also consultants on the ground working can have a direct avenue to product input and prioritization. So this team from Esri that's talking to you today is that representation, and we're a big group of consultants. We also have distributor offices in over 80 countries, and so we have a great reach, not just from here in the US, but in country with distributor offices that are operating in country, understand the culture, the needs, and the nuances of those different countries, versus all of that being influenced by a certain perspective. So just to answer that, I think it's the reach of what we do, where we're located, who we service, and all of that kind of funnels into product roadmap and decision making.
Like it. Thank you for dialing in on that with us.
Hey, Maya, Meg, sorry to kind of jump in, but I noticed Ariel has in the chat, Ariel was asking a question, is there any sort of the life cycle analysis of Esri AI tools? to ensure we're making climate better, not worse with AI models. And I was wondering, Maya, if you maybe would talk a little bit about camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be interesting.
Yeah, so we're definitely doing some work in this area around climate in all facets of our organization. But the tool that Ed is mentioning, it's CAMERA, which is short for Climate Mapping for Resilience and Adaptation. I think I got that acronym right, hopefully, or slightly right. But anyhow, this is really using, it's public facing, it's using geographic analytics and data. It's marrying those two things in order to get views of projected climate conditions in different locations across the United States. It also allows one to see greenhouse gas emissions, whether those will be lowered, improved, and I think most importantly, the consumers of this information, so public or whoever is accessing this, can understand what their exposure is to climate-related hazards. So that's been really powerful, and it's just continuing to permeate that type of work. Because understanding exposure is the first step. So identifying the risk you have to in order to be able to plan, and then to also forecast and build models where you can project what things may look like in the future.
Cool.
Ed, did I do that? I mean, Ed, is there more you wanted to add on that?
No, I just
Yeah.
it's just such great work that we've been
Yeah.
doing, and we've been doing this in coordination with the White House, and so it's and Raina, I saw you shared a link there, so yeah, I just thought it'd be good.
Yeah. Thank you for the link sharing, Raina. That's excellent. And Ariel, thank you for the question. Love this. Great questions. All right, so we've got about a little under 15 minutes left, so we'll try and get through a couple more questions. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, Raina, you're up next. Let's talk. Oh no, wait, sorry, Maya's up next. My bad. Maya, I want to talk a little bit about how the tech was used for the COVID-19 pandemic or climate change. Let's start with the COVID-19 dashboard. Can you tell us about that?
I mean, not a lot to, maybe many of you on this meeting have actually seen that dashboard, or at least the data behind that, whether it was in news stories, you accessed it yourself, you saw it on news broadcasts. I mean, that really was Esri technology behind that. We give credit to Johns Hopkins University and specifically the doctoral student Yishang Deng who created that. I mean, that was, I think, pivotal. It was a communication tool, as well as an analysis and planning tool during the pandemic. So that's one thing that we're doing. Climate, I mentioned the camera.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got our
No, that's okay. I mean, there's one more, I guess, movement we're definitely seeing, and this speaks more to the organizations and the private sector we're working with, which is all of these organizations too need to understand what the risk is to their business operations. Are they operating in areas where there is climate risk? And that could impact not just their facilities, but it may also impact their supply chain. If they're getting resources or product from other locations and it has to make its way, I mean, all of that is a location journey. And so climate affects all of that, and a climate understanding and a risk understanding is really important so that those companies and organizations can plan what the impact is. Not only just how they react, I guess also more importantly, are they contributing to any of that change as well in a negative or positive manner? And you know, there's a lot more reporting and accountability for organizations these days. So, you know, consumers are also looking to understand how do these organizations positively make decisions that will be to the betterment of our climate and ecosystems. So all of that is data, it's climate data, it's risk data, it all has a geographic element to it.
I like this. I very much appreciate the fact that you mentioned that consumers and the average public are getting more and more informed when it comes to to data like this, when it comes to tech like this, and it enables then people to ask the right questions and make sure that companies are actually being held accountable, that they understand the rules or the laws that need to be put into place, right? Because you can't really do that if you're just like, tech and it'll do it. It's like, no, you got to parse through a little bit, come to a better understanding of what's all at play, So that way they can, like we talked about, have more buy-in, have more kind of like dog in the fight's a horrible phrase to use, but you know what I mean? Like they, have some buy-in there. All right, Raina, we talked a little bit earlier about customer feedback and about how y'all really value that.
Yeah.
Could you tell us an example of when customer feedback has directly influenced the development of a product or service with Esri?
Sure, yeah, and I know we're running out of time, but so I'll be really quick with this. When I joined Esri, I joined as a support analyst, right? So I think that's one avenue that we incorporate customer feedback. When anything is broken, we'd like to hear about it, regardless of the tone. We want to hear your feedback. We want to make sure that we make sure that our customers are having a good user experience. And so we use those support channels to promote that user feedback, number one. I think the second one is we do have our Esri community, right? So we have a website where we do have a lot of users that have registered to not only exchange ideas, right? They might maybe run into some issues and they might want to kind of bring these issues up to maybe our dev team or our product side. This is a platform that has been created especially for that, right? Where if a customer thinks, I think this button should do this and not that, or this should be the end process, you can literally just type in your idea, and that has visibility in our product teams or our developers for them to be able to understand kind of what that user experience is. So that actually really helps in driving the next iteration of our products. And I think the last thing in terms of how we kind of get that feedback is we do have our holistic and beta testing events, right? So these are events that we have here on campus. Sometimes we hold them virtually. But we invite our users or customers to, hey, we have this new, capability within the product. Could you come and use it? Tell us what you think about it. Tell us what you don't like about it. Give us your feedback, because before we kind of get this out to the public, or we get this out eventually, we want to kind of get that feedback. And I think those are some of the avenues or some of the ways that we really, really focus in on getting that customer feedback.
Cool. Love to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have about 8 minutes left in total, probably about 3 to 5 minutes left in questions. Ed, your question about your experience in government is up next. Do you want to talk on that, or was there something else that you'd rather have me hit before we run out of time?
I think we can cover other things. I mean,
Okay.
I think we've already communicated here that my big plug for government is a source of innovation.
Mhm.
The FEMA example is a great example of that. And I've come to kind of see that and really appreciate and value the great technology advances that can occur through solving societal problems and community challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So we'll skip some of these. Customer collaboration models. We can talk a little bit about equitable decision making, which I think we kind of covered a lot of. Let's see. Oh, okay, Maya, let's talk about this one. Your focus on organizational sustainability. Obviously, that's probably going to influence the way that you approach geospatial consulting for commercial companies. You touched on this earlier about how you handle more of the commercial aspects. What do you think are the biggest shifts? The biggest changes that happen if you are trying to bring that sustainability influence to commercial business?
Yeah, well, I would start with organizational sustainability is about running a successful company and really thriving, not just maintaining status quo. And as you all see, we continue to live in a very changing environment, whether that's climate or other events. These organizations need to be able to pivot quickly and to keep up. And so that is how I see sustainability being like core central to a company or organizational success. And if I connect that to geography and GIS, an organization really needs to understand its operations fully. All of the things that they're doing. They need to be able to anticipate, forecast, and plan for those things. And if you really think about viewing your operations spatially, you understand where your assets are, how efficient you are, where you're making real estate in growth decisions or you're contracting, anything really connected to the business. And that also includes suppliers. I talked about supply chain earlier, customers, any partners that you're working with. All of that is really your operational view. And if you can empower that from a spatial perspective, you really can understand your business, and you can work towards growth, speed, profit, productivity, people, planet, all of those things. So I think, to answer the question, I really think that sustainability is foundational to a successful company, and geography can help with all of those aspects.
Excellent response, Maya. Thank you so much for that. All right, y'all, we got 5 minutes left. We're going to start winding ourselves down and talk a little bit more about Esri as a company. One of my favorite questions that I always love to ask is, what keeps you at the company? What is the thing that you don't think you're going to find anyplace else? It could be Taco Tuesday in the lunchroom, your sweet parking spot out front under the shady tree. Maybe it's your bestie who works like down the hallway from you. What is the thing that you're like, okay, I'm not going to find this outside of Esri. This is why I'm here. Ed, I'm going to start with you. Oh no, Raina volunteered. Oh, we're going with the hand raising. Yes.
I hope that's okay, Ed.
Yeah, do it.
I've been at Esri for 12 years. Well, 2013. December will make it 12 years, right?
Okay.
I always like to kind of share that I've never worked for any other company. I was a student in Kenya. I saw this awesome presentation by this awesome individual that came to Nairobi to present about conservation and GIS. And I'm like, man, that sounds pretty dope. And I would want to work for that company. Mind you, I am so young. I don't know what GIS is. I just see this woman talking about conservation and using tech and how awesome it looks. And I was like, man, I'm sold. I want to be where they're doing that. And so I reached out to her. She was able to give me like an international internship. And so I came to the US for the first time, worked at Esri, right? I was at Esri for about 3 months. I asked my manager, can I extend my internship? I don't want to go back home just yet. He extended it for 2 years. 2 months. So I was here for a total of 5 months. Went back home, finished my degree. And Esri actually gave me a scholarship to come do my master's at the University of Redlands. Mind you, I told my dad that, and he was like, nah, that's a scam. No. He wanted to talk to people because he wanted to validate that you mean to tell me a company wants to pay for your school and to bring you out there, and it's the United States of America? So
Sure
anyway,
is.
I came here, and then got my master's, and then been at Esri ever since. One thing that keeps me here, I would say, would be just Esri brought me out here, right, to the US. And as much as there's, some fundamental immigration issues that tend to happen, there's been a sense of loyalty that I have seen within Esri, and that's something that I would never take away. I think I've been here because of the loyalty, and I think I love my division and what my division stands for, and the progression and the progressive nature of our leadership, I think, is one thing that keeps me here. And they pay for my school too. So I'll just continue saying that. Even my PhD, that's, they're helping me build up, not just on the career side, but, myself as an individual as well.
Y'all, Maya just rolled in hot, right? Or sorry, not Maya, sorry. Raina just rolled in hot with possibly the best answer to that question I've ever had. And I've asked that question a lot in 5.5 years. So that's fabulous. I don't even want to make anybody else follow you, because, like, dear Lord, what are they going to say? But no, that's right. Yes. Thank you, Ed. Like, that is awesome. And I love, oh my gosh, I love that you were able to see somebody at a point in your life where if you can't see it, it's hard to be it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so absolutely amazing. I have like all of my all my arm hair standing up. I'm like so excited. I just love this story. So, okay. All right, y'all, we're going to call it a day on this one. Sorry, Ed. Sorry, Maya. I'm sure you had great stuff to share, but dang, Raina brought the house down. So, okay. We are now at the end of today's time. So I do want to say a massive thank you to not only our guests today. Obviously, y'all, there is a lot of work that goes in on these events. And Raina, Ed, and Maya have showed y'all a masterclass on what it looks like to come prepared for these. We have so many more questions. I want to do another one of these so we can get through the rest of them because there's just amazing stuff to talk about when we talk about Esri products. But thank you to the entire Esri team, not just everybody's on stage. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your expertise with us, not just today, but all of the prep and everything. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Massive thank you to the audience members as well. Obviously, we do these events because you come, so thank you for attending. But thank you also so much for asking such great questions in the chat. I was loving reading these. We captured all of them, even if we weren't able to get to them. So thank you to Ariel, as well as I know the Mercy, and I think Maria also chimed in as well. Thank you so much. Whether this was your first Power to Fly event or your 50th, I sincerely hope it will not be your last event with us. I hope that y'all go out and have the day, evening, night, weekend, whatever you deserve. And be nice to people, okay? It's cranky outside today, I feel like, so yeah. All right, y'all, hopefully you'll come back and join us again soon. See you later. Bye.
Mangko kapak sumakta kausa kusum paya mama ita puring kinchu kapak raimi busak sutay ka Benilda Luis Rojas wakpim pachapoyu kachkan inti mamakia imay nayam iskay warangka